Hello there, welcome back to Coronavirus Quickies. Now this is a series I've been doing of well men stuck in lockdown. There's some films you watch in lockdown for entertainment that you can't do a full video on, but they're worth talking about. So I call them Coronavirus Quickies. And this series has lasted longer than expected because it's going to last as long as this lockdown thing lasts, you know. Which was going down now seems to have rose up again to full lockdown. So we'll see how it goes. So I'm going to talk about 5 films. I'm going to start with Get Duped, which is a film that's just been released on Amazon Prime and streaming. This is a film that is set in Scotland, Scottish Highlands. So it's about 4 people on the Duke of Edinburgh scheme. Which Duke of Edinburgh scheme in Britain is this thing where, I think it's just Scotland actually, where people go up to the Highlands or go walking and learn basic survival techniques like camping and reading maps and things like that. It was big in the 80s, but it's kind of been out of favour recently. And this thing is a case of there's 4 people going in the Duke of Edinburgh scheme on a walk through the Highlands. 3 of them are tearaways who were forced on the scheme, told either do this scheme and do this walk or we're going to expel you from school. And then there's another kid who wants to do it because it'll look good in the CV and he wants it in the university. So you've got one geek and you've got 3 tearaways forced to go on this walk. So the teacher takes them there, gives them the basic supplies and says, okay, here's where we are, here's a campsite for the first night and there's where we have to get to at the end. And you have to walk all the way there. And I'll see you then. I'll see the campsite and the end of the day. And you just let them go on with it. So you have the kind of geeky one who can read the map. You've got 2 guys who are basically from working classes. They have no academic interests. They have no curiosity. They just try to get through school and leave, basically. One of them's called Duncan, who's a bit thick. Another guy is a bit smarter, but he's more focused on getting high to get through the day because he just can't be bothered dealing with this garbage. And he's planning to get his plans worked out what he's going to do after school. And then there's this other guy who's I think he's from Pakistan or something, where he's trying to be a DJ. You know, and he's all dressed in white and he's a bit pompous and he's trying to be a rapper DJ guy and he's ridiculous. And these 4 kids are all walking through the Scottish Highlands, getting into hijinks for a little bit, and then suddenly they're kind of hunted down by these 2 rich people. One of them played by Eddie Izzard. These people view the youth and the poor as basically people corrupting the line, and they shouldn't live. So a lot of people have been going missing in the area, and the police don't seem to care. The police think nothing happens, just people get lost. So the rich are cutting down the poor in this area, and these 4 kids with no weapons, no nothing, have to survive, have to one get their head out of the clouds and actually start working together, and 2 have to try and tactically survive. And it's a comedy. And it's very charming, it's a lot of fun. I'd highly recommend this film, it really works. It's all the characters, you get a good half hour of the characters before the plot kicks in. You get to know the characters and know their potential and their weaknesses and who they are. And then so that when the plot kicks in, they have to try and find some strength and try and survive. And it takes a while, it takes a good... The basic structure is, you've got your characters, the first half hour, you see the problems. Next half hour is them clicking to the idea they have to try and make sense of stuff, and the final third is them trying to be a team and trying to get something done. And it really works. It's only an hour and a half long. You've got some funny supporting parts. You have a lot of actors you recognise in it, in supporting parts. You have a nice little moments with the DJ bonding with the farmers, you know, and rapping to farmers, which is great. And you've got all these police who are terrified of the outside world but want to get into the action, and they're scared of the place getting closed down, but you're never quite sure if that's real or it's just in their head because they're trying to keep themselves interested. And because they seem to be stuck in this weird fantasy of cop movies that are just ridiculous because they're so bored in the Highlands basically. And it's like a nice point at the end about how the rich hate the poor and how the rich blame the poor for everything. Say you have to pull yourself up, and the poor say we don't have a chance because of you people. It's a really well-meaning, enjoyable film. Highly recommended. Bizarrely, one of the producers, Tobey Maguire, Spider-Man himself, which surprised me when I got to the end credits. It's well directed. I mean, it keeps the point. I mean, visually it's not amazing or anything, but it's done like kind of with some style and some fun, sense of humour. It's like, it knows it doesn't have the biggest budget, but it has some fun with some of the stylistics. Even though it's not it's very Edgar Wright influenced. But it works. It knows what it's doing, it works. It's been well written for what it is. And the acting's fun. All the kids are all enjoyable. They're all about 16, 17, and they all know what they're doing and they're good at the parts. So, very enjoyable. Get you, highly recommended. Extraordinary is also on Amazon. I don't think it's on Prime though. This is this one has Will Forte in a supporting villain part, but it's a bunch of Irish actors, and the idea is the lead character's woman does have some psychic powers, and she can talk to ghosts and talk to the undead and things, but it's caused her problems in the past, and she now denies she ever does it. Now she's a driving instructor. And she basically she's hired by this guy for driving lessons, even though he's trying to get her to help him exercise his wife, who's still around even though she's been dead for years, and she's still causing problems by telling him what to do. So he's trying to corner what he's doing, helping him, and then another plot kicks in where Will Forte and his wife are trying to sell virgin souls to Satan so that he can get power to create another hit single, because he used to be, it was a one-hit wonder. He had a hit single years ago. Now he's running out of money and he needs to get another hit. So he's trying to sacrifice the locals to Satan to try and get more hits. And it's a comedy. It's about these absurd people and versus these normal people with sort of absurd problems. Like, this woman's just trying to live her life and go on a diet and trying to hook up with this guy, even though she's not quite sure about him. He's got a daughter who's a bit of a problem. But they're trying to deal with normal life issues amidst this supernatural stuff, and supernatural stuff becomes more and more absurd. And you have Will Forte playing this guy who is absurd, but he's also crazy enough to actually do dangerous stuff. So again, it's another film that's pretty much 90 minutes. It does what you expect. It delivers. It's very enjoyable. All the characters are likeable. Even the villain you kind of like, even though he's a scumbag. It just works. I can get Dukes better, but this one's really enjoyable. It really is. It's one of those ones you can easily rewatch. I'm pretty sure we're watching it a lot over the years, so it's wonderful. Okay, next is Samurai Castle. Samurai Castle is a little documentary, like 50 minutes long, and it's about an earthquake that happened in Japan, and one of the samurai castles was badly damaged in it, and it had a lot of problems that spread throughout the structures of it. They try to renovate it and bring it back to what it should be. And so them trying to figure out how to do it safely, and also through this you see what it means to the people. You also see how these castles were originally built and why they were built in certain ways. And then they're actually going back and finding out that there was a way to build castles they used to do in the olden days, which people lost the skill of, which actually works better than the modern techniques. So they have to go back to techniques made in the 16th century to rebuild this bits of the castle to make it more secure. Because it turns out that these people in the 16th century had worked out how to make it earthquake resistant. So it's wonderful. It just shows you, yeah, there's progress, but also you lose certain things, certain skills that actually are important. And it's just about this process of rebuilding this castle, which is still sitting, it's still standing, but certain things are falling apart and other bits are in danger of falling to bits in the aftershocks. And it's a very good documentary about showing you how things like this are dealt with, how like renovations dealt with for something that's so old. So again, a very highly recommended documentary. It really works. It's really good. Very enjoyable. Next we have Greyhound. Greyhound is a Tom Hanks written and produced and starring World War II movie, which takes place on the open sea as the Greyhound is a battleship that's actually protecting all these other ships that are taking supplies from America to Britain during World War II, and they've got some German submarines trying to destroy them as they go. And there's a point where the ships will leave the protection of the American fleet, and before they can reach the protection of the British fleet, there's a 2-day gap where they have to go in the open sea in the ice, because they're going via, you know, the high north where everything's freezing, and the ships, like, the window's freezing half the time, everything's cold, and they have to do this. They have to go and achieve this. So Tom Hanks plays a captain this is his first command. He's been waiting for command for a while, and this is his first command during wartime, so it's very stressful, and he has to try and find a way to actually make sure the men, because he's now in charge of the whole fleet getting there. This whole fleet of ships, so they all have to follow his command. So it's his first time doing that, and he has to find the way to do it while all these submarines are coming after him. Like 3 subs he has to destroy. He's got some other ships around about him that he can give orders to attack, but he's only so much he's got limited supplies of bombs, because there's only so much the ship can carry. So he has to be careful how he uses them, and he can't be careful not to run out, and not to run out of the supplies of other ships as well. So it's a suspense movie. It's a war movie, but it's really a suspense movie, because you can't see the submarines are set for certain points as they're ready to attack, and he has to work out what they're going to do next. So it's like 90 minutes long. It's really enjoyable. It got kind of sniffy reviews. I mean, a lot of people didn't like this one. I really enjoyed it. It's my kind of movie. I like those kind of World War II movies, and this one does it well. I mean, the characterization's quite slight. You don't get to know anybody that well, because it's really about the mission. It's a men in a mission movie, so the characterization's pretty much on point. Like, you find the basic stuff of the characters, and that's it. But that works for that kind of movie, because they keep it very clear what's going on, and they're much more focused on the suspense than they are on having long character scenes. So I liked that, but I think it put people off. But it's an enjoyable film. If you like World War II movies, you like submarine movies, you'll probably enjoy this one, because you'll recognise the tropes. It doesn't do anything new, but it works. It works for what it's trying to do, so it's highly enjoyable. Especially when you compare it to my final film on this video, which is Midway. Midway is terrible. Midway is one of the worst films I've seen for a long time. This is awful. This is like Roland Emmerich, director of Independence Day 1 and 2, and a variety of terrible movies, some of which are enjoyable because they're terrible, but this one is bad. This one makes Pearl Harbor and Michael Bay look good in comparison. It's just woeful. I mean, for a start, watch the 70s Midway film instead. It's a much better film. It's not even that good, but it's much better than this. This is a film where all the planes look cheap and CGI, and it's like I think at some point you'd rather just have a plane and see the strings, because this stuff looks cheap and it's terrible. The acting's awful. I mean, you can't blame the actors. You have a lot of good actors in this, all of whom are either miscast or are given such terrible lines you can't really do much with them. Woody Harrelson plays the Admiral trying to work everything out. Patrick Wilson plays his second in command, who's the brains behind it all and his intelligence, and he's got a lot of theories. And they're the two that come out with the best, really. They don't have great stuff to do, but they're professional actors and they know how to do it. You know, everyone else, I mean, Luke Evans is in it, and it seems like half his stuff's been cut out, you know, because he's in it, but he is given all the worst dialogue, and you just feel sorry for him, because it's like, you deserve better than this. You've been given good in some films. You deserve better than this. Ed Screech, or whatever you call it, was a bad guy in Deadpool. He's the lead, and he's terrible, and his accent's terrible, and his character's awful. He's meant to be a hero, but you don't believe it for a second. You know, a bunch of other characters are learning how to be brave, and how to survive war and all these other cliches, and they're all done within 2 minutes, and it's every fight, every battle scene feels like it's a video game, but a PS2 video game, not a new video game. It looks like a PS2 video game. None of the actual acting feels like a PS1 video game in graphics and execution. You know, it's like a Resident Evil original type of level of performance. It's bad. It's really bad. It's an insult to the history. It's an insult to the audience. It's an insult to everybody. This is just the most awful film you could ever make in the subject. It just delivers awfulness through and through. It's atrocious. It's shameful. And when you see this and you see Greyhound's simplicity just shines through, because it's like, at least I knew what not to do. It wasn't that ambitious, but I knew what I had to do and what not to do. Midway is just an appalling film. It's just the worst thing ever. So I'm leaving you on a bad note, but I think it's, if you want to have a laugh, watch it. It's on Amazon streaming just now, on Amazon Prime. If you want to laugh, you can watch it. See how long you survive, because it's terrible. It's absolutely awful. Anyway, so I hope you enjoyed it. This is me at the end of the week now. So I'll see you next week with some more videos. Hopefully, depending on the cold, but hopefully I'm on the mend. Right, bye for now.